Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss Rishi Sunak's unscheduled announcement outside Downing Street yesterday in which he claimed that extremists were threatening democracy. Indeed they are, as they always do, but it's unusual for a Prime Minister to make a speech outside Downing Street attacking his own party. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, late yesterday afternoon, the news came out that Rishi Sunak was going to give a statement outside Downing Street, lectern, the full works. These are supposed to be very important affairs, so what was it going to be about? It wasn't realistically going to be announcing the election date, but that may not be far off now. Basically, there are three reasons why Sunak might want to make such a grand announcement last thing on a Friday without very much notice. The first is that something major has happened, which demands a message to the nation. Has World War III broken out? Now, nothing happened yesterday to warrant this, although Sunak did refer to Galloway's election in Rochdale, but if you're going to describe that as a major event of national concern, all you're going to do is feed Catman's ego. Second would be to announce some new policy. Now, this is not an appropriate use of such a statement because policies are supposed to be announced in Parliament first, but Sunak and his immediate predecessors have been in the habit of announcing policies to the press first, so it was possible that was the reason. But Sunak did not announce any new policies. He alluded to the fact that there might be one in the future, but didn't actually say what it was. Third reason would be to distract from some news that would be damaging to the government. So let's say there was some story about to break and it was going to be all over the Saturday morning newspapers. You go, oh no, I need to get rid of that. But there has been no news that would necessitate Sunak dropping a dead cat onto the news schedule. So even now, I've heard his little speech, I've gone over it, and I'm thinking, I am genuinely none the wiser as to why he made it. I appreciate that Sunak is continuing his mission to find some sort of wedge issue with Labour, and that his latest effort is claiming that mob rule governs in the UK. But Labour are having none of it. Starmer just said, the speech was, there were bits in there that I'm going to criticise, there were bits in there you can support. Starmer just focused on the bits you can support. Oh yeah, we should all stand against division. So Starmer's preventing this being a wedge issue. It's all pointless. But the other thing is that just this line of, extremists in charge, the mob rule governing the UK, I'm just perplexed by it. Because the Tories have been in power for 14 years. It's the sort of thing the Tories would say if they had been in opposition for 14 years. And they were blaming Labour for this. They've been in power. If they are saying that law and order has broken down, isn't that an excellent reason to change the government? So putting aside for a moment why Sunak thought it was a good idea to make this speech and to make it in this way. So what were the things he was saying? Well, he first of all seemed to attack the people of Rochdale for voting for George Galloway. Sunak is having a pop at people for voting for the wrong candidate. Now, I make no secret of the fact I don't think Galloway is a suitable MP. But it's not for me to decide how anyone votes. I decide my own vote. That's it. People are and should be free to select whichever lawful candidate they like. Galloway lawfully entered the contest, was lawfully elected. If his campaign did anything illegal, then you investigate that with the police. You do not have the Prime Minister just randomly say that people got their voting wrong and now he's going to do something about it. Because that just sounds like another step on the path to fascism. Democracy means you have to watch as people you consider to be dickheads, like Rishi Sunak, get elected, as well as those you approve of. I mean, I do videos on tactical voting, for example, but I never tell people to vote in a particular way. It's just information for people who want to use their votes for specific outcomes. The idea of anyone saying how people should use their votes is abhorrent. Besides, who were the people of Rochdale even supposed to vote for? Like, what was their choice? Not that everything Sunak said was bad. He made 2 points of which I approve, really. I mean, there was one about targeting MPs in their home, so to speak. I very much agree with that. But the main one was he pointed out that since the October 7th attacks by Hamas, there had not only been an increase in anti-Semitic attacks, but Muslim communities have been attacked as well. It's like, well, yes, they have. Mostly by people in his own party. Were we to assume that he's getting ready to withdraw the whip from, say, Suella Braverman and her cronies? I strongly suspect not. He specifically said that the country was threatened by far-right groups. He also suggested that he's going to do something about it without saying what. Yet one of the obvious things to do about it is to remove the far-right leaders of these Islamophobic attacks from his own party and to make sure that Ofcom deals with people doing it in the media. That is the easiest thing he could do. Given that nobody believes he's going to do it, then we can only assume one of two things. First, that his speech is a pretext to introducing yet more authoritarian legislation. The government are known to be against the sheer scale of the pro-Palestinian marches in London because it is consuming too many police resources. Now, I'll grant you, I don't know why they're marching or what they're marching for these days, certainly on this regularity. What I do know is that the marches and rallies in London are commonplace and, for various reasons, and the government should just increase funding if the police don't have the resources to manage it. It's not up to them to decide which peaceful protests are valid or how many times you can run a peaceful protest for a particular cause. As long as they're organising it properly and working with the police to make sure it goes smoothly, that's all you can ask. If there are non-peaceful elements to any protest, then you get the police to deal with those elements without tarring everyone with the same brush. Now, why isn't that being done? Now, being fair, Sunak was not actually tarring everyone with the same brush. He was not labelling the entire protest movement as extremist. For example, he urged the organisers and protesters not to let extremists hijack their marches, which is fine. But what is he going to do to help them? Shouldn't the government be working with them? Working with those who make up these marches? Shouldn't they be engaging with them instead of talking at them from a lectern on a Friday evening? Second possibility is that Sunak is not actually intended to do anything. Even if the election is in autumn, it doesn't seem feasible to introduce new legislation at this point and expect it to complete its passage through Parliament before it has to dissolve for the election. And I still think there's a greater chance of the election in May, meaning he has no chance because he'll be announcing the election any week now. So perhaps the thing he intends to do about this, which he alluded to but didn't detail, is something to go in his party's manifesto. Perhaps this was an attempt at the usual populist pitch. We're beset by enemies from within and without. Vote for the far-right loony party because we're the only ones who will protect you from it. A strategy as old as the hills, but struggles to work when these problems only seem to have arisen, or at least become serious, since they've been in power. Ed Davey got it right when he said that the British media will take no lessons from a party who have sowed the seeds of division for years. And at the same time as Sunak was making this speech, decrying divisive extremism without specifically addressing the source of much of it within his own party, guess what else was happening? Lee Anderson and Liz Truss were off to a Conservative fundraiser for Brendan Clark-Smith, where everyone in attendance, according to the Express, was patting Anderson on the back for his exploits a week earlier. While the Conservative Party leader was denouncing extremism, including far-right extremism, his own MPs were gathered with the party faithful to celebrate it. But if all Sunak wanted to do was denounce extremism of various kinds, including of the far right, he did not need to make this statement at this time in this way. Downing Street could simply have issued a communique. Sunak could then have discussed it further in an interview or press conference if journalists wanted to. The entire thing just made it look like there was some urgent response required to Galloway's election. But why? He's nothing. Every time he cons some constituency to vote for him, because this isn't a one-off, he does this several times, he either loses or doesn't even stand at the next election. Why? Because no one who votes for him ever wants to vote for him again. Because he does nothing for them. He's a grifter, pure and simple. He doesn't even pretend to lift a finger. He'll be no more a problem in Parliament than Andrew Bridgen, and he'll be gone at the general election. For those unaware, there's a clip circulating, an old clip of him, how he treats his constituents when he doesn't realise the cameras are on him. In fact, if Sunak doesn't like the idea of Galloway being in Parliament, the solution is really simple. Call a general election. Then Parliament is dissolved. That's the end of him while he waits for another opportunity to monetise the suffering of innocents. Maybe next week, after the budget. But I may discuss that in the second video today. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.